world we're now living in. We are competing in. We are repeating in. We are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Good evening from Lomma, Sweden. Evening is past 6 o'clock. And we are going to talk tonight about make place. I am Niklas Böhme, and at my side here is Stella Nordahl. And where we're going to go with this conversation, we will find out.
yes. But I would almost like to do a disclaimer first of all. As we're going to talk about make place, and this is what we don't do right now.
Because we don't have...
It's a little bit cryptic, because no one really knows what this topic is about, maybe. But I think this disclaimer could be of interest, because I have been to so many dialogues and discussions and panel discussions and stuff like that concerning various groups in society where the group itself or people from that perspective are not
are missing.
They're missing in the conversation. So that's the disclaimer of this, that we do it again.
We do it again.
And that's a little bit symptomatic, actually.
Next time we can make a change, maybe.
And so should we explore the topic a little bit? So we're talking about people from different parts of society, but they have been grouped.
It's like it's many modern ways of saying this. You're talking a lot about people on the spectrum now, at Netflix series and so. We are talking about people with disabilities, maybe a more old-fashioned word. But what we really want to talk about tonight is how we can make place for these people and maybe empower them to take place in the society. I work a lot with music and culture, so for me it's a lot about making place on public stages. It could be a music stage at a pub, it could be a theater, it could be a dance theater, where people with disabilities also can participate and create art.
And from my point of view, I would say I'm today I see myself as an entrepreneur, even if I started out by being engaged in different types of group societies and everything. And today I probably denominate myself as an entrepreneur. And in the business world and in the workplace, I would say there are so many possibilities that are not open right now for people with those superpowers, which is another denomination of it. So, I mean, all of us are having both our weaknesses and our strengths, and a weakness and strength is often in a context. So what is in one context a weakness is in another context a strength.
Exactly, yeah.
So a friend of mine who is also engaged in the same consultancy company and engaged that I am, he runs IT business with I think 10 employees, and he has been actually hiring people who are not very often hired in those positions because he himself believes that an ability that in the right context will be a super strength.
Oh yes. I think that's something that's not so much explored. I heard about a couple of projects with hiring people, for example, with autism. They could do certain things, certain things at work much better and much more concentrated than most people can. Maybe not so interested in coffee breaks and small talk, but they are great with numbers, with computers, with game creating, for instance. Also one of those areas where they can work. But I think still many business owners are a bit afraid of exploring these areas.
Yeah, and also we measure stuff in our organizations, and especially in the business world, and all those measures, the KPIs, the key performance indicators, they are often measured on what we perceive as a good thing, but the thing is that a lot of those measures are not corresponding to what they are supposed to measure. For instance, efficiency, and then you have a lot of KPIs on efficiency. But what is efficiency? And an example I heard about a couple of years ago really opened up my eyes. In that case, it was about group dynamics. And there are plenty of models around there in the world on how we can look at an effective team and how we can, when are they productive and so on. And one of those models are based upon phases. Although there are plenty of models based on phases, but this is the one, the biggest one. Yeah. So not to write that down, I don't think it's necessary to mention the name of that model, but nevertheless, this big company, was quite a big company. They used this for all their development within the business. So both for personal development, group development, and business development. So that was, it seems as a good thing to do. And after a while, after a couple of years, they also brought in the creator of this model, which is a world famous person, and that person engaged in that business to really leverage the outcome of this model. But the one thing that happened was that there was one of the teams never performed well in this model because it measured efficiency in a way that didn't apply on them. So they got very low ranks all the time, and they were seen as not good performers. The thing was that they were a supervision team. So they were supposed to supervise. In this case, it was electricity, which is very often well working. But every now and then, shit happens. So 99% of the time, they were just looking at nothing. And not many people will be able to do that, just sitting and looking at nothing.
No.
Yeah. And when it happened, something happened, and something was out of the spectrum of what was okay with the electricity. They acted. So they were actually super efficient in what they were doing, but they were measured on another perception of efficiency.
Yeah.
Which made So actually what happened was that this company was more or less divided into teams, or not two teams, but two sides. One of the sides were raising this model to the highest level, and the other ones were, okay, but it doesn't work for everyone, so we can't use it. So, and it ended up that they needed to leave that model.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember I were on a lecture a couple of years ago with a very interesting person that was a business owner, entrepreneur also, but had both ADHD and autism. Had a great lecture, but said, now we're going to have a coffee break. Please don't try to small talk with me during the coffee break, because I can't do that. But people didn't believe her, because she had done a great lecture before, very intense, super efficient, so they couldn't really believe what she said and try to talk to her, and then notice, okay, that didn't work. I mean,
it's almost, the thing itself is,
and then I realized also that many people who hire people nowadays, maybe the talks about it was at the most for 15 years ago, but this with social skills was really important when you hired people. And a lot of people with autism maybe don't have the standard social skills that we like to
perceive
see
as good, but they are still skills.
Yeah, and they can do super work, but maybe not on the coffee break, or the after work party, but they can do the work really well. So there's also a space that needs to be opened up. I think.
I believe so. And I the first time I really got into this issue was actually when I was working with school development. This is 10 years ago almost. And there were a couple of years when I was very engaged in different types of schools. I studied, not studied, but that's how I perceive it. I studied different ways of learning as I got into different types of schools with the different pedagogical models and so on. At one point we started out a project between two Swedish schools and a school in Czechoslovakia. And the thing was that we invited some of the teachers here, and we were working on something called, for instance, if you have different learning styles, which we all have. Some are good in listening, and some other ones are good in performing, doing stuff. Another one is a great reader, and so on. So there are different ways of learning, and very often we only have one way. So what we want to introduce was how can we work with different types of learning methods and learning, and also to compensate for instance, if you're a not good reader, maybe you can touch something the tactile way and so on. And at that point, we visited the specific authority in Sweden, working with those issues. And up until that point, they have been working with what they called people with special needs. So and what would just at that point, I think this was 2014 or something. We went there in the autumn, and we were guided around, and we had a talk from one of the persons working there, and she said that, and now from 1st of January 2000, let's say it was 15, we're also going to work with those who have high abilities. And then she drew like a normal curve. Standard curve, the standard curve. Yeah. And so she said, here are those who have special needs, and here are those who have special abilities. And now we're going to work with both of them. And me and one of the teachers there, we were looking at each other and saying, haven't we all special needs and special abilities? So as long as we look at people as being out of the norm, which the standard curve tells us, we miss out a lot of opportunities, I guess.
I think so too. Yeah. And I think also if you are in business, probably you miss out on really good, I mean, fortune making, maybe. I mean,
creating value.
Creating value. And also in my area around culture and music, I also see the same thing. As we had talks before with Maria.
You had a talk earlier today with Maria and Patore on arts and superpowers.
And that is, it's a bit hard to be, as people don't take people with disabilities really serious when it comes to being creator of art or music or writing, and you forget that autism it's nothing about intelligence or the mind. It's other things that are problematic. So you can be smart, you can be skilled in various ways, but you just have a little
but I mean, as humans we have a set of capabilities, more or less, and some of them are we have developed as a person of different reasons, maybe higher and some of them lower, but that is contextual. So what in one context would be great to have, would in another context be disaster to have, and vice versa.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so on.
Yeah.
So
Interesting just to look at that standard curve. That they said that we should not focus just on the center part.
no,
We should-
and from my point of view today, I would say that is actually the how can I put it? I wouldn't say the problem, but what is creating the problem. The way we look at people.
Oh yeah.
So
That's a interesting part, and if we can, that will make place. That's one of the words for this talk. I had a thing in mind too. I sat in a discussion with a lot of culture people working in culture, and we discussed this with how can people with disabilities and handicaps take part in culture. Nowadays, most theater houses and stages, you can come with a wheelchair, for instance, and look at the culture. You can take part of consuming, but it's almost impossible to be an actor in a wheelchair. Because
isn't that strange?
yeah, because then you have to have some of your buddies carrying you up on stage, and why don't we make place at the stage for people?
Yeah.
Just besides the stage, just to consume, not to create. And I think society must learn a lot from. To open
Yeah, and
up
we
the
can use
spaces.
those opportunities to actually shift our own set of values or beliefs, because I would say maybe we should all see ourselves as a creator of arts, for instance, or creator of our own experience, or creator of our own lives and so on, instead of being only consumers of something.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't have to exclude consuming.
No.
So it's actually having a broader spectrum of opportunities.
More like including things than
Yeah.
excluding.
It doesn't have to stand in opposition. I
no.
mean, why should consuming be in opposition of producing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes you can do either one or the other, but very often you could actually do both. So a both and rather than a either or.
Yeah. Good said.
So yeah, and what I also believe is that making space without judging.
Yeah.
Last year we had a fantastic thing happening in my life. Every summer I'm part of a entrepreneur program for young people. So I'm facilitating stuff there, and we set up things and so on. And at one point we had an information meeting, and very often the kids show up and so on. And this time it was a mother showing up, and she said something about maybe this is something for my daughter. Okay, so why isn't she here? No, very often she it ends up that she don't believe it's for her. So okay, so if you say it's for her and she says it's for her, then it's for her. So yeah, invite her. Yeah, I will, but there is one problem, she said. Okay, what is that? That would mean that I would need to join also. And I said, that's not a problem. So it's an opportunity if you like entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know yet, she said. So let's try it. I haven't yet asked what was the problem. But what happened was that she and her daughter both came to the entrepreneur program for young people. And for young people, I mean, young entrepreneurship is more like a mental state.
Oh, yeah.
Some have old static thinking, others are dynamic, and those two people, they were super dynamic, and together they was like a dynamic duo. So I mean, what would Batman be without Robin, and vice versa?
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe it was just that context that was needed. I don't know. I haven't asked the question, what was the problem? Because I didn't believe there wasn't.
No.
And I never saw any problem. It was actually the opposite of it. It was very inspiring to see this dynamic duo evolve and explore and create. So. And they were producers of their own experience.
Yeah, I think sometimes we speak a lot of thinking outside the box and so on, but maybe very seldom do. And when you come in with maybe a superpower, you may be naturally thinking outside the box because you've never been invited into it.
No.
Yeah.
Somehow you have never invited it into it, and maybe that's the take on it.
Yeah.
Why should we even bother to put ourselves into one?
Exactly. Yeah. We should stay out.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Stay out of the box instead of getting out of it. Stay out of the box.
Yeah. Somehow.
I'm not thinking outside the box. I'm staying out of it.
I'm running around it.
Running around it, looking at it. Okay. So a little bit about taking and making place. So of course, if you're never invited to a session, and again the disclaimer here, why didn't we do it? That's another question I don't know yet, but maybe that will have to change also.
I think so. Yeah, we must think one more time, and do it one more time. And invite some people. I think so.
And I also believe that there could come out so much new things. It's not only the value that we thought we were creating. I mean, and that is valid for actually any person.
Yeah.
2 more eyes, 1 more brain, another heart, 2 more legs, and so on, or whatever.
And entrepreneurship is also an interesting area where you can, I think outside the box and maybe both make and take place. If you think a little unusual, maybe, but you maybe don't have to have all the economical skills to run some kind of business. You can get help where you need it, but you can create also. Maybe it's also a bit of old-fashioned thinking around starting a business. So but that's more your area than mine. But
I believe that there are always opportunities on I mean, at some point I mean, my truth is only my truth, so it's not valid for anyone else. But I believe that there could be things that could be of interest for others. And one is when you perceive something or as possible, and have the intent of manifesting it. Or so I was actually in another dialogue the other day about what is the difference between, or what, I shouldn't say difference, but what we reasoned about was various aspects of reality, which means that we both have a mental pole and a physical pole, and they are, when they are corresponding, what we say and what we do, when when they are in line with each other, then there is a possibility of feeling good, of health and so on. And as soon as they are separated, what we say and what we do have a dissonance of some kind, we often end up in trouble, we end up in illness, sicknesses, and so on. And it is valid for anything, actually, relations, for ideas, and so on. So having this connection between what we say and what we do with the mental and physical pole, which is actually being true to yourself.
Oh yeah. To have balance in those areas.
Yeah, and don't exclude the one aspect from the other and say this is more valid or this isn't. I mean, of course, if you say my dream is only a dream, then that is true, probably. Yeah. But if you see, if you instead look at it and say that dreaming is creating, which I believe is very true, because when you dream, you are so physically there. Then dreaming is a way of creating the world.
Oh yeah. I think it's important. I remember a talk I had with one of my members at work about dreams. That was in musical terms, playing at a big stage in the United States. But and we try to explore this dream. Maybe it's not possible, but still the dream is important to get the creative side out and to try to do something. Let's keep on dreaming and maybe not being too disappointed if it's not become true. But I think that dreaming is
dreaming
really
is also true.
Yeah, it's the dream is true.
Yeah,
maybe you're not.
You don't have to manifest everything.
No. And you don't always have to accomplish the dream. You can be happy anyway with a dream. So it's, I think maybe especially when you create music and or art or TV screenplays or something, you need the dream to come half the way. So I think it's important.
It's not even half the way, I would say. Again, it's the whole way, but it's another aspect of it. Again, it's just it's another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So anything else we want to explore in this conversation right now? Take, make, place, or make, take, make, and place. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we will reconsider naturally, and make some more place, and empowering to make people take place also.
Yeah,
that's
and encouraging.
It's important. Yeah.
So by that said, Niklas, shall we wrap this session up and say thank you for listening in, and if you want to co-create in those topics, I would say both me and Niklas are open persons, so we would like to meet with all of you. Hopefully that is possible also, but probably it is, if we perceive it as.
We're dreaming about it.
We're dreaming about it, we're dreaming about it. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Bye.
We are competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.